Hi and welcome to Monday's video. Let's have a quick look at our timetable for today. Again, we begin with reading. Make sure we get lots of reading in as we're away from school. Keep those skills fresh. For writing today, I'm not actually going to ask you to pick up a pen and paper, but I am going to ask you to be storytellers and using some icons to really feed your imagination and get those stories spoken with a lot of creativity in them, please. For maths, we're looking at fractions, and I've got two different activities there for year 3 and year 4. And I've provided you with some questions and an alternative there that you could do if you are not able to access the questions. And for the afternoon activity, looking at some geography to do with our topic and some map work based around our local area. So for writing today, I am asking you to use some story cubes, and I've linked in a video to the timetable that explains these cubes really well. It's a little video with the creator of Rory's story cubes. This is a type of story cube you can use for this activity. If you're lucky enough to have a set, feel free to use them. If not, I've provided you with some sets that you can use here. So this is a little example of where someone's used story cubes and have actually illustrated it to make a comic book. Each symbol on a story cube needs to be interpreted in your own way and given a little twist, sometimes thought outside the box to make a story, and you'll see that in the video that I've posted. There are some very interesting ways of interpreting these symbols, and it's up to you how you interpret them and how you present them in your story. So let's have a look at some of the dice that I've given you and the sets that you'll be using today. So this is an example of one of the roles that I've given you, 9 die, all to be used in your story, and we're going to use them in sets of 3 to build up our story, to give it quite a lot of drama and a resolution at the end. So we're going to set the scene, we're going to have a climax, and we're going to have a resolution at the end, and we're going to use our die in sets of 3. So for example, these symbols can be interpreted in lots and lots of different ways. If we take the keyhole as the first die, that could literally be a keyhole to a door or a treasure chest. It could be something that is locked and unable to be opened. It could be a tunnel or a passageway. It doesn't have to be quite literally a keyhole. It can be lots and lots of different things. We also have on the right hand side in the middle row, we have an arrow, which could quite literally be an arrow for a place, a journey that someone has to take, or it could be a spear or an arrow fired from a bow. But to really think about these symbols and the different ways they could be used when we're storytelling. All of the dice have to be used in your narrative. All of the dice from one picture. It's only the 9 in the picture that we use for each narrative. And when we finish the narrative, we can go on to another picture and use those 9 die. Now, I've also included on the website is a build your own story dice template, where you can cut out some dice and you can roll your own and tell the stories that way. Now, this may seem like a lesson where it's very easy and there's not much to do, but the creativity here has to be very, very good. We're not looking for a 2-minute story, we're looking for 5, possibly even 10 minutes of storytelling with each set. You have to really push yourself for detail here to really draw out all the extra bits that you can get into this story and this narrative. Feel free to write down anything if you want to, but you don't have to for this activity. It is very much a storytelling and a creative activity. So for maths, I've linked in 2 different lessons from the White Rose Home Learning. I've linked in the Year 3 unit and non-unit fractions lesson and the Year 4 recognising tenths and hundredths. Year 3 lesson is a step into fractions. It's something we've done in class. Many of us may feel that we already are very good at this, or we may want to just look at it very quickly. Others may want to really look at that as a sound step into the fraction work that we do in Year 3 and in Year 4. The Year 4 work is recognising tenths and hundredths. Those tenths in particular, Year 3 you will need to know how to handle, and we'll make sure that we get those this year. So if Year 3 of units and non-units fractions is a little bit easier for you and you feel it's not challenging you, please look at that Year 4 lesson and see if that gives you a bit more of a challenge. as with some of last week's work, this is on the White Rose website, but it's not this current week's lesson. The BBC bite-sized lessons and the White Rose lessons don't seem to be in the same order, so the schedule for BBC is slightly different than White Rose. But the White Rose lesson here is a little bit easier to follow with the video, and the challenges are more appropriate for us. So I've linked us in. You will need to scroll down to the bottom and choose week 1 for these lessons. They are the week 1 lessons. Find the lesson that is appropriate for us. So for year 3 we're looking at unit and non-unit fractions, and for year 4 we're looking at recognising tenths and hundredths. Now on our timetable and on our website I have linked in directly the video that matches these lessons, and I've copied the questions from this website onto our website as well. So you might not need to go into this website, but just in case you wanted to, this is how you find it. On the White Rose website, you also have the answers for this week. So if you want to check anything and just work through it, the answers are there as well to help you find solutions. So as a previous topic on BBC Bite Size, we were given some map work, and I've linked in the lesson from that day. It's all about maps and how we use them, in particular compass directions, and how we can interpret a map. Now I am going to ask you to map out the local area around you. Now this might be your road, it might be a few roads around you. I'd like you to map it out as best you can, taking into account everything you've learned about maps from the BBC Bite Size website. Now I've included 3 examples of maps here just to show you that not all are the same. Some are very creative, like the bottom left-hand corner, and include illustrations. Some are very mathematical and precise, like the bottom right-hand corner, which is very square, and it uses very straight lines to illustrate its map. Others are somewhere in between, like the main one that I've included here, which has illustration but also has very precise directions there. You'll need to choose which style you go for. None are right, none are the wrong. Sorry. Any is perfect that we can go for, but I would like you to add a few extra details onto your map. I'd like you to colour code your map with natural features in green. Now natural features are things that are occurring without any interference. Hills, rivers and lakes are examples of these. I'd like you to highlight in yellow anything that's a managed feature, that is where humans intervene and change or maintain those areas, such as sports fields, gardens and parks. And in blue I'd like you to highlight anything that's a constructed feature, such as buildings, bridges and roads, please.